Are you getting kind of bored of everyday, ordinary photo edits that just make your images look, a little bit better? Well, whether you're looking to solve some common problems in some unexpected ways or just have fun transforming your images, Nik Color Efex has got you covered. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the incredible filters. Now, there's so many more, but just 5 that you can instantly transform your photos and make them really stand out. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Nik, I have a link in the description where you can download the program and just give it a try. I do get a small commission for this, which helps support this channel, and I appreciate it. So let's go have some fun. Okay, for the first one, let's start with a typical image that has just some green foliage in it. Of course, I'd go through the normal workflow and I'd process my raw file, and I'd usually bring the best image possible into Nik. But for right now, let's just save some time here and I'll just work with the original. Now, I'm in Lightroom Classic, so I'm going to right-click and choose Edit In, and then choose Nik 7 Color Efex. But you can launch Nik however you wish, even as a standalone program. Now I'll add a simple vignette here with the darken, lighten, center option. I do this with a lot of my images. Now let's change the seasons, who knew, by clicking on Indian Summer. Now this will take anything that's green in your image and instantly transform it into a warm autumn color. You can change the method by clicking on this drop-down. You can increase or decrease the effect with the Enhance Foliage slider. Now be mindful that it's taking everything that's green in this image and applying that autumn hue to it. So this is where the beauty of control points come in. I'm going to click to add a control point. I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key on a Mac and turn it into a negative or like a removing control point. And then I'm going to click on the moss in the background because I don't want that moss to be kind of that orangey yellow too. So then I'll come over to the luminance and the chrominance sliders to kind of reduce how selective or specific that control point is to the colors of the spot where I placed it. And here's a little before and after. Not bad. Who knew I didn't have to go back in the fall? Okay, for the next filter, I'm going to use something that by the name of it, you'd think it was only good for portraits, but it has so many other uses, and that is Glamour Glow. So here is an image from a swamp in South Carolina. Now I'm going to beef up my greens with the foliage filter. I do this a lot. But I want to use Glamour Glow in kind of a unique way here. I want to clean up my water and reduce some of the reflections on it because it's just a little bit cluttered. So now I'm going to add Glamour Glow. I'm going to crank it all the way up, and then I'm going to add a control point to add the effect of the filter to the area where I want to place it, but it removes it from the rest of the image. Now I'm going to add another control point, and I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key this time to turn it into a negative or a removing control point, and click on the lily pads because I want to take the Glamour Glow away from all of the green in the image. I'm going to check the mask for that one, and that looks good. And I'm going to check the mask on that first one, and it doesn't look good. It's not specific enough to the water, so I'll use the luminance and chrominance to alter where the effect is applied. Increasing the specificity to the right is going to make the control point more selective. If any of this is confusing or you're just new to the Nik suite, I have got a full color effects tutorial available in my Nik playlist, which I will link at the end of this video as well as in the description. All right, so let's have a look at the before and after back in Lightroom. I've reduced the clutter and some of the reflections. All right, so here's one more quick example of Glamour Glow being used to essentially declutter, or even help focus attention on something. So I'm just going to run through this one super fast. I liked how the wisteria in this image stood out in color and contrast from the background, but I still find the background distracting. So let's use Glamour Glow again to help with that. All right, I'm going to speed this up. What I'm doing here is I'm adding a dark and light in center and a foliage to make the leaves a little bit greener. Now let's add Glamour Glow. Now if I look at the drop down, I'm going to select strong because of the effect that I'm going for on the background. And I'll even take it a step further and crank that glow slider almost all the way up. Now, I don't want the effect applied globally, so I'm going to manipulate that quickly and easily with some control points. I'm going to add a control point. I'm going to place it on that background. Now, it will darken and soften it. That's what Glamour Glow does. And so I'll expand it all the way out so it's grabbing all of those pixels that are similar to the one where I placed the control point. Now, I don't want the effect on the wisteria, so I'm going to add another control point. I'm going to hold that Alter Option key to turn it into a negative or a removing control point, and I'm going to place it on the flowers. So let's check both of these masks. That's the removing control point, the negative one. That's the adding control point applied to the background. So my leaves are still a little bit soft, which means they're being affected a little bit more than I'd like by the Glamour Glow. So I'm going to add another control point to the leaves, or negative control point to the leaves, and I'm going to extend that out. Let's take a look at that mask. So Glamour Glow is no longer affecting the leaves. It's no longer affecting the flowers, but it is affecting the background. A little quick before and after here. While I'm here, I'm going to adjust that dark and light and center a little bit, and I'm going to click apply when I'm happy with it. And back in Lightroom, I can compare the two. The Color Efex version has a lot more depth and separation from the flowers in the foreground to the vines in the background. Can this be done, just in Lightroom? Of course it can. It's just a little bit more time consuming, a little bit more difficult, kind of less intuitive. And I just find it easier and faster to just bring it into Color Efex because I know this program pretty well and just do these things very quickly and painlessly. Moving on. All right. Foggy images can often feel pretty flat. And so I want to add some depth and some contrast without losing the fog. And that's not always an easy thing to do. So let's take advantage of the fog filter within Color Efex to bring back what gets lost when we add contrast to this image. So I'm going to start by adding some tonal contrast, but I'm going to add a negative control point to maintain the lack of contrast in the background, because again, adding contrast removes fog. To edit more for my personal taste, I'll add a global skylight filter as well as a foliage filter. I do this a lot. Then I'll add another skylight filter, but this time I'm going to add it with a control point just to the fall leaves right here to make them stand out a little bit more. And I'm going to add a little bit of pro contrast, but again, I'm going to have to add a negative control point to remove it from that foggy area of the image in the back. All right, so now that I've got most of the image looking the way that I want, let's bring back the fog with the fog filter. But I'll use it as an add control point to only apply it to the background. When I click on that control point and I click in the area in the back, it is applying the fog back there, but removing it from the rest of the image. Let's turn fog on and off to see the difference. So I'm going to fiddle with the settings, the intensity a little bit, and check out the before and after. I'm big into looking at the masks to check out whether or not what I've just done is affecting the areas that I specifically want it to. And so I'm going to check out the mask for the fog and then maybe add a little dark and light and center or something like that for some increased depth. I might go back and increase my skylight filter a little bit more. Just make it however you like and then click apply. So here's a look at the before and after back in Lightroom. I've increased the contrast, the saturation, the warmth, and the depth while still maintaining the fog in the back. Alrighty then, let's take this image that is the inside of a lighthouse off the coast of South Carolina, and we're going to add a frame to it. However, we're going to take advantage of those control points to give it our own unique spin. All right, so let's add a frame with the image borders filter. Now click on the border type drop-down list to cycle through some different looks. I'm kind of partial to types 8 and 9 myself, but do whatever floats your boat. Adjust the size, the spread, and the little grunge factor of the edge to taste. All right, now to create something a little unique, I'm going to add a control point. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key to make it a negative or removing control point, and I'm going to add it to the outer edge of the frame. That is removing the frame effect from the image. So I'll extend that outward, and then I'm going to drag the luminance and the chrominance to the left to bring out more of the original photo. Just change these to taste as they'll vary from image to image, and you can also alter the opacity of that control point. And there you go. You've added a frame while giving an element with like a leading line in your image a little escape route. I mean, that's basically what I've done is I've added an escape route for my stairs here. Now you can always make changes, like you can extend the control point a little bit further out, include more of the photo, adjust the luminance and chrominance to taste. I have used this on architecture and landscapes, macro with flowers, all sorts of images. So here's the little before and after. It's just a different way of thinking about image borders and frames. All right, let's do something that's a little off the deep end and kind of wild here. So this is just for fun. This is an image I took years ago of just some soapy bubbles in a dish. So this is a white Corelle dish. It's lit from above and it's just got some soapy water in it. It's interesting, it's not something that you see all the time when you're scrolling through social media, but it's kind of boring. All right, so I'm going to bring this into color effects and just start playing. So I'm going to add some color first. And then I'm going to use a filter that often gets ignored in this program because it's just a little too out there. So I'm going to start by adding some contrast with the tonal contrast. And I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit because it's a little bit too crunchy for me. And then I'm going to come up to the by color user defined. And you can use any of these, color filters that you want, but this is just the one that I'm picking today. And I'm going to add some color with one of these presets. Now you can pick your own color with the color pickers here if there's something specific you're after, but I'm just going to use the preset here. I'm going to take that blend slider all the way down so I can see the line where the color changes. And then I'm going to change it vertically or rotate it just to taste. Now that I've figured out where I want that line to go, I'll extend that blend back out a little bit to soften the transition. Of course, you can do whatever suits your needs here. Every image is going to be totally different. All right, so now I'm going to select the Solarization Filter. This filter has an immediate reaction to it, but here another, and I'll show you another example in a minute. We'll show you some of its unique usefulness. So here you want to choose a method, and that's in the drop-down. Choose one that appeals to you with this menu. There's several color as well as several black and white options in here that are really neat. Now, what I really like about this effect on this particular image is how it actually makes this image look as if it were backlit, which we know is highly unlikely in a white Corelle dish, right? I can't imagine trying to backlit this. It was like a 1/4 inch of water. So, but keep playing and don't forget that you can go to the previous filters that you've already added, the tonal contrast and the bicolor, and change those in order for the Solarization filter to look a little bit different. So here I'm going back to the bicolor filter and making a subtle adjustment to make the overall image just look a little bit better. Here's the before and after of that. Just a little different from the original, right? So let's see this again with just using the solarization on like a typical macro shot. Ooh, interesting, right out of the gate. Gives it a little shimmer. So same thing, you're going to go through the methods and find a look that you like and then tweak it with the elapsed time and the opacity sliders. So use control points if they're needed, just have fun. I'm partial to the black and white methods on this particular image. They make it look like almost metallic silver flowers, which you definitely don't see those every day. That would look so cool printed on metallic paper, right? So the moral of this color effects exploration story today is to just get into this program and start playing. You need to check out every filter, every preset in every filter, and figure out what this program is capable of, because the possibilities are almost endless. Now, for more tutorials on color effects, silver effects, and more, check out my Nik software playlist up here, as well as this video for color effects. If you are so inclined, you can buy me a coffee with the link in the description. I sure do appreciate it, because YouTube isn't paying me jack squat just yet for any of this work that I do. Y'all have a great day.